Hey, what's up guys, Dr. Watches 1 here, and in this video we are going to be looking at how usable is the iPhone 4 with iOS 6 and what are some of the things that you can do with it and how far can you really go in terms of its usability. Let's get started. So what I essentially have here is, so these are basically the apps that I've used. So pretty much I use the essential ones that I was able to downgrade from a newer version, because most of these, except there's like one in here that I think ran on iOS 6, and that's the Blackboard Mobile Learn app. One of the iOS 6 apps I was able to get to work was Twitter. And as you can see, there's a lot of choppiness scrolling down through my feed and everything, and scrolling back up. There's a lot of choppiness up there too. So yeah, but it is still pretty usable, and you still can look at photos and everything and look at the tweets fairly well. You just can't see that many of them at a time. Another app that works very well is Gmail. Now this is pretty good because you can actually, on Gmail, you can have multiple accounts at once, which is something you can't do, at least Google accounts at once. Yeah, I don't believe you can do that on the Apple client, but I'm not too sure about that. But yeah, that's something that's really good about having Gmail, and it does work. I didn't get any errors or anything like this. This is the iOS 6 version. Again, this one's a little bit slower, but it does work, as you can see. It shows up my emails and everything. So I go back. Another one, this one I use for streaming music. I'm actually surprised this one actually even had a version available, but this is for Prime Music, and this version is just called Amazon Music. And essentially it takes all the music you have if you're a Prime member, and you can play it, and all the music you've downloaded from Amazon, and it's there ready to play. These are some other apps. Some of these ones, like the stock ones, I don't use, like music. I don't really have music on my device physically, so I don't really use that. Some other ones like mail, the regular mail client's okay, but again with multiple accounts I like to use Gmail instead. Also Facebook is another one that works very well. Again, it's a little bit slower than using other apps, but it does overall have pretty good performance. And something else to note here is you don't need Facebook Messenger here because it comes in there by default, and it's taking a bit too long to load, so I'll show you the other ones. Instagram also works pretty well. It is the older version, as you can see with the icon, but you still get good compatibility with this. As you can see here, some stuff that are loading up, and it's actually fairly smooth considering this thing only has about half a gig of RAM in a single core. So it's not really too bad, and it does get stuck here at times. Another one, Podcast. This is an Apple app. This is of course the older version of Podcasts, but it still does run pretty well. And you can listen to whatever you want on here. So I had the Pocket Now Weekly podcast, and that one works very well, as do many other podcasts that you try to listen to on this app. Some games here. This was a kind of a difficult one to find, but there are still some simple ones that work, like Temple Run works fine because it requires iOS 6 or later, so that one works fine. Subway Surfers, that one, it initially required, I believe, I think iOS 7 or later, iOS 8 or later, but did allow me to download an older version. Fruit Ninja didn't initially work, so I had to go into iTunes and download it, and then come back here and download it, and I got it to work. And those games actually run pretty well. There is a little bit of lag in Fruit Ninja because it tries to download the newer one, the 5-year anniversary edition, but I just go to play the classic and then it's fine. So yeah, in iOS 6 there is no control center, so you can't toggle the flashlight or anything like that, so you have to download a separate app for that. So I just type in flashlight, and it automatically shows up right there, and it works pretty well. Other than that, we also have Yahoo Weather. So Yahoo Weather does pretty much everything you need it to do. Shows you the current weather, it gives you a radar and everything like that. It's one of the few ones that I've found that actually work on iOS 6 versus many of the other ones that typically will say you have to download a newer version. And this one runs pretty well. There's a little bit of lag, but it's not that bad. And you get cool stuff like wind pressure, sunrise and sunset, what phase of the moon's currently in. And you get, again, precipitate, you get a live radar and everything like that. So for being an old app, it actually does pretty well. Some other ones I use, Blackboard Learn, especially for college, so you can check in on your grades and announcements by teachers. This one actually works really well. I'm not signing up for any classes right now, but this one does work quite well. Google Drive, this one used to like back up documents and everything like that, which is always an essential thing if you're writing something or you just want to like even back up photos. This one does pretty well if you're running low on storage. Spotify, again, this is the older iOS 6 version, but it does still run quite well. It's not the premium version, but still it does a pretty good job. Going back out, I think I've covered Twitter and now all these other ones as well. You are limited in what you can get, so if I actually bring over my Moto X right here, you will see that there are some apps that I just simply could not use because when I typed it in, they would say you need iOS 9 or iOS 8 or later. So like the GoPro Capture app, which I use for my GoPro as a dash cam. I have dash cam videos on this channel if you want to check them out. They're recorded with that GoPro. That one I cannot connect, which is essential, especially since right here I have the Hero Session, which is a camera that can only be controlled through the app. You can't do anything physically on it, which kind of sucks. So that's kind of a big one. Snapchat I was able to download, but when I tried to use it, it said you're using an older version and please update it. And the latest one you can download is the iOS 7 version, which is okay for the iPhone 4. But if you had 3GS or something, you'd be out of luck. You couldn't use Snapchat at all. There are other ones too that I do use. Let's see, like the PlayStation app, I use that one a lot if you're playing with friends and everything. And that one, I was able to download it, but then as soon as I did, it said you must update the app, and I obviously can't download a newer version, so that one didn't work. So if I were to rate this and saying, like, could you get by with this phone, with these apps in 2017? I'd pretty much say yeah, because you get all the social media apps, you get the email, you get streaming music services. So that's pretty much like the basic stuff that you need. And then the screen, a Retina display, so it's actually pretty legible and everything like that. So yeah, I'd say iOS 6 has aged rather well, and you can still use a lot of apps, and you still can get on with your daily tasks and everything like that. So hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.